Hello and welcome. This is Jak'D, the new Jak and Daxter podcast in which me and my co-host will be talking about everything Jak and Daxter. We'll be kicking it off with the news and then going into our mission by mission after this. I'm Cherry Stace.
I'm CJ.
I'm Jack Barrington.
I'm Jesi.
I'm Gabinetto.
Okay, so first things first, what is in the news, Jack?
So first off, the limited run games, Jak'D Collector's Editions, are finally being shipped after pre-orders opened up on November 15th, so that's something to look forward to.
So what's different about the limited editions? Is it like a different cover?
It's like a collector's set with like various physical...
They put limited edition on the box.
No, like they limited run games. They've like released these collector's edition box sets for each of the games. So the first 3 games came out a while back, and X has finally started being shipped out.
I remember the 3 games, didn't they, like, it was like they came with some sort of promotional, like, Precursor Orb and a bunch of other stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. So I think the first one came with Precursor Orb, second one came with the Seal of Ma, the third one came with like a replica blaster gun.
That's cool.
And this one's come with like a replica Daxmobile from Jak'D, which is cool.
That's cool. Oh, those are the ones I see them on the Facebook group sometimes. It's like a box and they come with
Yeah,
this little
that's
car.
it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is there any more news?
Yeah, there's like a new rumour. There's a new rumour about a possible new Jak and Daxter game that might become a
Of course.
PS5 launch title. This one seems quite reliable. So there's a YouTuber called Moore's Law is Dead. He's like mostly known for his accurate leaks about video game hardware. So he's so you know someone who says that there's a heavily guarded secret PS5 launch title, and that it's a revival of a mainstay of PlayStation, one that used to be a bigger tentpole franchise, and Mark Cerny is working on it. So
Oh, it's so Jak 4. It just sounds so fitting, doesn't it?
Uncharted 5.
I'm trying to think of what other franchises that could... That's a really kind of vague description, though, so that could, like, fit a lot of different other properties, but...
it just
Where's that?
yeah, it just makes sense if it is Jak and Daxter, because Cerny was he had a major involvement in the creation of the franchise.
Because
Plus, they were going to do
yeah.
a Jak 4 before that. What is it? The Last of Us. That's what they were going to do before that, isn't it?
Yeah, so they worked on Jak 4 back before
Well, yeah,
The
they
Last
did.
of Us.
I saw the concept art and everything. It just, I don't know.
It was awful.
It looked awful, yeah.
Yeah, they changed too much. Even the hair wasn't that good.
Yeah, it didn't even look like Jak.
They need to do what they did with like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. How it's like the same graphics, just prettier and polished, but continued. Yes, but for Jak 4.
I talked to Cherry about this when she messaged me the other day. There's a YouTuber who was in the process of like recreating Haven City from Jak 2. He only got the pumping station done, but it's like rendered in full HD graphics. It looks incredible. I wish she had done the rest of the city.
Yeah, I think that was in Unreal Engine, wasn't it? I remember seeing that a while back.
Yeah,
It
it was
looks
like
really
the
cool.
Unreal.
Yeah, that
Yeah, if
was
anything,
a while back.
Naughty Dog needs to get with Unreal Engine and they need to like have a good conversation. We need that to happen.
I don't know.
don't know.
Naughty Dog
I
just
wouldn't-
doesn't
I
seem
wouldn't-
like the studio that goes back to franchises. They just kind of like keep moving forward and going on with the next newest thing.
I wouldn't trust Naughty Dog to make Jak 4. Not now.
Well, they're a completely different company now.
That too.
They're the only ones I would trust to do it. I mean, the 2 that made Jak and Daxter at first have left, but they're still doing great stuff. Like that Last of Us one, like the graphics on it are amazing. I don't know, would you be completely averse to like having a more realistic style of animation? I thought that'd be like the
No.
next step.
I wouldn't be, because I felt like the cartoonish, like, other world of Jak and Daxter is what made it so iconic. I just don't think it would work. I like, because the way the characters are with the long ears, and you have like characters like Pecker and Daxter, they just don't really translate well into a more like realistic graphics and animation.
See, I see that, but I think it would look so cool if they just tried it. Like, I'd be so for playing that sort of game. I think it's more like the characters themselves and like their personalities that I'm hooked, rather than that cartoonish style of graphics.
Yeah.
I get that.
Okay, is there any more news, Jack?
Well, back to the new potential game. It sort of just makes sense as well because back in March there was a PS5 deep dive tech talk, and that was actually with Mark Cerny. He was doing the whole presentation, and the only game that was properly mentioned and talked about was Jak 2 and how they created Haven City with the hardware back in the day. And I just thought it was a bit random. Out of all the games, the only game that was mentioned was Jak 2. And now this potential rumour that Mark Cerny is working on a mainstay of PlayStation that used to be big, and he's reviving a new series.
Was Jak and Daxter, though, a really big franchise? It seemed like it was always playing second fiddle to, like, Crash Bandicoot and Sly Cooper and Ratchet and Clank. I feel like on, like, the hierarchy of 3D platformers, Jak and Daxter is kind of, like, really low on that pole, just because it doesn't have, like, the same exposure that those other franchises have.
I don't know, I think it was one of those hit and miss ones. If you liked it, you loved it, and there was a huge fandom for it, but otherwise it just passed you by.
Yeah, it's either you know it or you don't.
I don't know, I'm gonna put my money on it's Jak 4.
I'll believe it when I see a trailer or some concept art or something
I got
that.
a question. So if they did come out with the next installment of Jak and Daxter, what would be a good title? Would they, or do you think you think it'd be Jak 4?
We can only hope.
I could see maybe The Legend of Mar, something like that.
Yeah, because they sort of left it hanging, is he his dad or something, didn't they?
Or, his granddad or something.
Yeah, they never really explained that
I thought Jak is Mar.
Not fully.
Oh yeah,
Well,
I haven't played it in a while, but I remember that. What'd you say, Jack?
It was either they sort of left it open, as in he might have been the Mar, or he was like an ancestor. So that was something that's probably something they could expand on in a sequel potentially. But even if it's not a Jak 4 that comes out next, I wouldn't be averse to a remastered trilogy, like proper from the ground up, sort of. With today's technology, 1, 2, 3, to introduce a new people into the series.
I just don't know if a sequel could work because it's been so long since Jak 3.
If they were to announce a game, it'd probably be in the August State of Play, which is going to be the next PlayStation digital event, where they're going to announce a few more games, including the new sequel to the God of War reboot. So that could potentially be when the new Jak and Daxter game comes out, or he's announced.
Okay, so before we get into the gameplay, should we have some fast facts about the game? Did you guys get any?
I'll have some. Let's see if y'all take mine first.
Okay. Mine's a little bit cheaty because it's not about the game itself, it's about how they got to the game. Does that count?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Yeah, that counts.
Okay. So I got the co-founders of Naughty Dog are Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin, and they were the youngest contractors to develop for Electronic Arts at 16 years old. Anyone know that one?
Yeah, that is impressive. Yeah,
16?
I didn't know that one yet. 16,
Wow. So that's when they founded Naughty Dog?
Yeah, in 1986.
Wow.
19. Wow.
86. What?
Cool. Jak and Daxter, the first game, was the very first game to ever have a seamless open 3D world with no loading screens.
What, the first game ever?
Yeah.
Exactly. They were the first ones to do that, which is why, I guess, for their second game, they took it full open world, because other games were like Grand Theft Auto were experimenting with it.
And a cool thing they did about the whole seamless open world thing, they created a custom animation for Jak. So if you went too fast through the game, they'd make it so Jak would trip up. So it would it'd load up the levels while he's on the floor.
That's cool. They came up with really good ways to get around all the loading stuff.
Yeah.
Any more? Gab, did you have any?
Yeah. So in the first and second game, Kira is voice acted by Anna Garduno. However, in Jak 3, for whatever reason, they switched it up, and and Kira is voiced by Tara Strong. And if you know who Tara Strong is, she voices a ton of cartoon characters from like Ben 10 to Fairly Odd Parents to.
She did Ash, I think, at one point for Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's actually
She's Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls as well.
She's the voice for Timmy Turner, I think, for the Fairly Odd Parents.
Okay, so now it's time for our mission by mission. So because it's the first episode, we'll be breaking it down from the very beginning, the title screen. I've got to say, I thought it was very similar, the song, to the Crash theme tune.
It's made by the same developer, so I'd imagine they carry some samples of some sort from Crash to Jak.
Yeah, but it's like they've literally used the backing of a Crash theme tune and just added some stuff over the top.
Well, I could see that too, because, like, I mean, Crash was like their huge major mascot, and they probably wanted to imbue Jak and Daxter with some of that energy, so it would be a success.
Jak's got a spin kick move that's the same as Crash as well. There's lots of similarities between the games.
Right.
Jak, you had a good one about the title, like the font.
Oh yes, the font of the game. It was heavily inspired by the comic book series Battle Chasers by Joe Madureira.
I've never come
I'm
across
not sure
it.
if you guys have seen it. Yeah, I've actually owned the comics. It's very good, actually. And Joe Madureira is...
Oh, wow. I'm looking this up.
like-
That does look like the logo.
Yeah, it was heavily inspired.
Heavily.
It's about a group of heroes. It's basically like a fantasy sort of RPG-ish comic book series, and they recently turned it into a video game, I think a couple of years back, which is good. Which is a good game.
It's on Steam.
Okay, so moving on. The game opens up with the first of a series of cutscenes. It starts with a black screen, and then it's just Samos introducing, obviously, Jak and Daxter. Anyone got any thoughts of what Samos is saying? I thought it was really interesting that it's like first questions he's posing are the ones that get answered. It's like the main storyline, isn't it?
I think it's really everything that we need to know about the Jak and Daxter universe and the world that they live in is like all within that little monologue that Samos is saying. And then I love that because Jak 2 and 3, like Jak 1, 2, and 3 really do make like the perfect trilogy. And we circle back to this conversation like very much towards the end of Jak 3. And I think it just makes a really great full circle kind of moment. That's why I love Jak 3 so much, because it really wraps the trilogy together.
I love Samos' speech. Did you? Is
Oh, yeah.
Warren Burton is the voice of him, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
So we're in the boat and we're meeting Jak and Daxter for the first time, and this is the first time we see Daxter, you know, both of them, but mostly Daxter in his human form. I was thinking he looks like the girl from Up, you know, the wife when she's young.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
The girl, and she's got like
that's
a buck
cute.
tooth.
You know, I never really
Yeah.
put the two
Kind of got
together.
the same
I
teeth.
think Daxter is way better off as an
Definitely.
Oxel than
Yeah,
as
definitely.
human.
I don't know, it's like
Can
they
you
made
imagine?
him as goofy looking as they possibly could. I don't understand why they went so far
Like,
ginger.
can you imagine human Daxter trying to hit on Tess from Jak 2? Oh my god.
She brings up like all the women in this. I'll get to it later, but they bring up a problem, I think, for how these games have
Yeah.
aged.
There is a problem, I will admit, with the women designs and the characterizations a little bit.
Well, they're going
I
up
think-
to... I can't remember what the island's called. What's the first
Misty.
island that they're not allowed to go? Misty Island.
Misty Island.
Okay, so they're going up to Misty Island, and they come across the two antagonists of these, don't they?
Yeah.
Is it
Goal and Maya.
The Lurkers.
Gol and Maya? Yeah. Did you
Oh,
know
Gol and Maya.
Gol, the voice actor of Gol, is Dee Snider from the Twisted Sisters?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
know.
that's really
man, I
cool.
should use that as my trivia. That was pretty cool.
Oh, I thought that
There's
was
even
awesome.
a
I didn't know
little
that.
there's a little Easter egg, I think, in the final battle when, if you listen closely enough, Gaul says something like, "We're not going to take it," as Jak is like trying to destroy
Oh!
the giant precursor robot.
That's brilliant. That's the only song of theirs I know.
I think they also have what is it? I want to rock. I want to They
Okay, so-
parody it. Yeah, back to Jak and Daxter.
Okay, so we see Daxter and Jack, they're sneaking up to the scene to meet these two antagonists. And we see... I didn't realise Daxter was such a wimp. When, like, rewatching this, I didn't realise he was so, like, spineless.
Oh yeah, he hides behind Jack, and it's
And he's, like, creeping up.
I mean, but that's like an establishing like character trait for him too, because he proceeds to have that the entire rest of the franchise. Loves to take credit for Jack's accomplishments, but will hide in fear when the actual action's going on.
Yeah, I never really clocked it when he's a not-soul. It's so ignorable.
When Daxter can be annoying, I think, throughout the series because of that. And there is some negative criticism against the series that Daxter is too annoying as a sidekick, but it never bothered me that much.
No.
Something I've always wanted to see is I've always wondered what Gull and Maya look like in their human form, because I mean, I don't know if this is their human form, but
well, Maya still looks pretty. She's just purple,
Yeah.
but other than that, she looks fine. It's Gull that really looks like messed up.
yeah. I was hoping in the limited runs games how they came with a design bible.
That's another thing, Cherry, that I kind of agree with you now that you said that. Like, they were too afraid to dirty up Maya's character because she's the female, I guess. But they had no problem making Gull look like this deformed
Yeah, but
zombie.
she has to look pretty. Yeah.
And it has to have, like, D-sized cups or whatever. I don't know.
She got big.
Yeah, we'll get into
it.
Also, I wanted to ask, what is everyone playing on? Because I'm playing on the PS2, and the graphics on that, I don't know if it changes, but they are so, like, choppy. It's so innocent and cute when you just look back at the PS2 graphics.
I think we're spoiled now. I think if... Because I do that with Pokemon sometimes, too. I'll go back and play an old Pokemon game, and I'll be like, "Was it always this glitchy?"
I've had those moments.
Yeah. It's, like, really edgy lines, and, yeah.
Yeah. I just think in hindsight's 2020, and you go back and look at it now, after we've been spoiled by almost 20 years of like great high quality graphics.
Okay, so then we see Jak and Daxter come across this big thing. I don't know what it's called. Does it have a name? It's like a big rhino that's walking. What is it?
I was gonna question that too. Like the dudes with bones as armor, names,
Lurkers, right?
and the lurkers.
Yeah, they're like
if they've
armored
been
lurkers.
tampered with dark eco, and that's why they look the way they do, and if they have like an original form, or if this is how they've always looked.
The lurker at the very
Let me
beginning
see.
are the same ones you encountered later on Misty Island. They're the big ones that you have to hit like twice. You have to like knock their helmets off or something. Yeah.
It's they're called bone armor lurker, and actually
I was just about to say that too.
the purple lurkers that we see, they're called Babaks. Babaks, B-A-B-A-K. That's what they're called. They're a type of Yeti. I'm looking on the Jak and Daxter wiki.
The thing about lurkers is they have different forms, even like in different animal forms. Like there's lurker sharks, lurker, yeah.
Okay, so we see Daxter get pushed into the pool of dark eco. I forgot, but that was actually kind of Jack's fault because he pushes him in.
What he like throws that whatever
Right.
bomb thing and he gets knocked back into Daxter.
It was
Yeah,
not
and it's
intentional.
like through chain of events, it was kind of
Yeah.
Jack's
Because
fault.
he was trying to protect the both of them, really. And
Well,
ended up-
Dexter does not let him forget that it's his fault.
Right.
Okay, and then once he falls in and we get the picture that he's turned into a not soul, which is, I'm guessing we all know, but I'll say it anyway. It's a weasel and notter, is it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
His better looking
And the-
self, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is. Hands down. Then we cut to Samus's hut, and Samus is giving Daxter a hard time. I thought he was, like, particularly cruel. And I think, does it
Yes.
foreshadow that he already knows he was going to turn into this? Because he's not surprised at all.
Well, that's one of the questions I have too. Like, didn't young Samos want to know why Daxter never turned back into a human? Like, I don't see. That's the thing. Like, they obviously didn't plan this because the ending of Jak 2 like really kind of put some plot holes into these games. That Samos would be the Samos that came from Haven City, who knows that Daxter came into Haven City as an Oxel, so he obviously knows that Daxter doesn't get changed back.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. I'm saying, do you reckon they knew at this point that that's the direction they were going to go in? That it would be
because
him from the
probably
future?
not.
if you
But
They may have.
the way I interpret it is that in the story of the first game, I feel like Samos didn't really want to get involved. You know, he didn't want to let on that he already knew what was going on. Obviously, not to change the events because he knows it's going to be alright in the end anyway. If you know what I mean?
So you'd say they did plan it. They were going to do it in Jak 2.
No, I don't think they did plan it, but I think the way they worked around it in Jak 2 is pretty good. Like,
Yes.
makes it look like
That's
they did plan it.
But it's weird that you mentioned that first part where he's like not surprised by what happened to Daxter. It's almost like Samuels knew before the developers. It's just weird like
Yeah.
I
that.
never
It
picked up
fits.
on that. That's a really cool thing to point out.
Also, Kira is the same though, but she didn't go. She's not from the future, is she? But she also gives
No.
zero fucks.
That's another question too. It's like, who is Kira's mother? Who did Samos marry or whatever? What happened to her?
Yeah. There's so much they could do for Jak 4. There's so much I'd
And
love
who
to
is
know.
Jack? Who's Jack's uncle? Like, who's that uncle character that is supposed to be
Oh.
looking after Jack?
Yeah, because I thought that the uncle was
No,
Samos.
Samos and Jak are not related.
Jak and Daxter, they're the Jak and Samos. They're the only two that came from the future from Haven City.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
yeah. That's
True.
So
yeah. That's
Daxter
why.
and Kira from the old world, yeah.
At the end of Jak 2, though, young Samos says something like, "I'll be back in time for the celebration," kind of implying that he'll still have access to the Rift Rider and be able to come back. But then the Rift Ring disintegrates, so it's weird.
Well, now we've seen Kira, we are introduced to the problem of these games, which, I mean, generally,
Yes.
for its time, they've aged pretty well compared to other ones. But when you see,
Yes, like
I'd be interested to know what you think, because you're all boys. But obviously, CJ's picked up on it. I don't like how all the women are, like, their boobs and their waists,
Well,
and this girl is
here's
supposed to be,
the
like,
thing, though.
15.
yeah, no, she's supposed to be 14 in this game, and she's like wearing like a cut off crop top and like
Yeah.
barely any leggings and showing just an incredible amount of skin. And
Definitely heavily sexualized at 14 years old.
well, I think once again, video games and animation kind of started in Japan and Chinese culture, and I'm not trying to say anything at all about the culture at all. This is just like my observation and my like knowledge of this, is that the culture in those areas is just a lot different than it is here in America or in Europe or wherever. That they don't have a problem, I guess, sexualizing younger people. That's just part of the culture, I guess.
Yeah, with like online animations and anime in general, they're probably more conservative with like the people there and their clothing and things like that. But when it comes to like their shows and things, they're a little more exploitive.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
mean
I
like
see that
the
here
whole
in the
culture. I just meant
animation.
like
I see what
pop
you're trying
culture.
to say. And that maybe wasn't even Naughty Dog's intention to over sexualize. I mean,
I think it was. I
skinny
think
waist.
they were aiming at their target audience.
You can say Jack's got a really skinny waist too.
I mean, but look how much clothes Jack has on him, though.
Jack's just looks
He's
cool.
got-
Yeah, it was definitely a product of its time. I feel like if they remade it now, it'd be a lot different. Especially,
Really? You don't think they're going to bring it back with the boobs?
I don't reckon they will, especially if it was Naughty Dog making it,
Yeah.
especially.
Maybe that's why they won't bring it back.
I definitely think they'll change up the designs of the female characters. But
Yeah.
keep the male characters the same.
I hope they do, and I hope they give them some more powerful roles.
Ashlyn.
Like all the females in these games have like subordinate roles. All the males have the good ones.
Well, Ashlyn in Jak 2, other than her like horrible design, I feel like she's the only decent female character in this entire franchise.
She's pretty,
yeah, but even her,
pretty
it's
badass.
like she's just the daughter of someone who's powerful. Like none of these women
she
are powerful in themselves.
And she
Ashlyn
becomes the
definitely
governor,
is.
though, of the city at the end of the game, and she still is in charge of Haven City, technically, in Jak 3.
All right, I'll have that one. That one's good.
I would empower Kira because she's definitely like smart as hell, and I think that's admirable. Like just how technical she is, and if anything, she's the reason Jack can even get through to the end of the game, you know, with the I can't remember what the frick it's called, but she's got the hover mobile that goes over the lava
Zoomer.
tube. You know, like she's the reason he could even get to where he got to. You know.
Definitely, I see that, but then I think it's more in like a Megan Fox way. I think they just made her good at cars. Because again, they thought they would appeal to the target audience, like a hot girl over
that
a
whole
bonnet
Megan
sort
Fox
of thing.
thing, that feels like a very much like a Michael Bay, like, oh, let's let her be into cars so we can film her leaning over the hood of a car in a really suggestive way.
Yeah. I agree though, Kira is really intelligent in herself, but it's the way that she walks up to Samos and she's like, "Hi, Daddy." It really grates on me.
You think
Yeah, no, they have her dressed like an 18-year-old, but she's acting like a 12-year-old. I don't want to touch it.
You think she's like in the background of the game? She's like going up the Samos all the time, like, "Daddy, can I have 90 precursor orbs to go to the precursor mall?"
You remember some of the dialogue in Jak X where it was like Samos is like telling her, "No daughter of mine is going to be a driver.
I remember that.
A woman's place is in the garage."
Oh yeah! Oh my God, I do remember that. That was uncomfy.
Very.
Yeah. So we jump through the hoop and we come out in the training mission. Any initial thoughts?
Beautiful colors once again. This game and also I feel like this is one of the first games that had like a day and night cycle in it too.
Yeah, they said that. They said like if you wait 24 minutes, you'll see the whole series like going from sunrise to daytime to noon, you know, and so on.
Exactly. And when I was a kid, that was something that really tripped me out. That was the first game I ever played that. Well, it was Jak 3, but it was the first one that ever had that day and night cycle. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was the bit I always loved about The Sims. You had night and day.
What annoyed me was all the forced cutscenes that I couldn't skip over. The tutorial parts, yeah. I feel like after you play that game through the first time, there should be an option to skip over that.
At the beginning of the game, you pause the game and then you go to game option, turn off hints, and then it won't play any cutscenes like that.
Okay.
Gosh, when I was a kid, I would stick around in that little pooled area. It was just enjoyable to just kind of chill out and enjoy the music and just kind of look around and really appreciate the game. I believe the pool actually spills out into the ocean though, and I remember I went out into that little crevice one time on accident, not knowing my inevitable death at the end. I do like that they changed it throughout the games though.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kira's narrating throughout, and we learn we need 20 power cells for a zoomer to work, and then we're also introduced to the eco powers. Blue eco gives the power of movement, and green gives the health. Oh, did you know Ruben, one of the co-founders, worked on the particles, so he did like all the power eco stuff on the animation.
Didn't know that. That's cool.
I know, I thought that was
think
cool. We also see that the game saves with every power cell, and I like that because I can't stand when you have to go through the whole game, do it all again if you die. I love that. It just felt like they were on your side and they wanted you to enjoy the game.
Is a must-have.
That's true. There are still moments throughout where there's moments where you die and you're like, okay, I'll just reset, and you're like, all the way back here though?
We also learned that we need 7 flies in an area to get a power cell. I never really get the flies because what is the point in them? What do they do on their own?
They're made by Kira though, I believe. I don't remember their intention though.
Well, they were intended to scout out the areas for power cells, but then all the lurkers caught them all in.
Right. Okay. That's cool. I remember
Which
that.
makes sense that they have power cells when you find all 7 of them. Like they found one found one.
Oh wow, yeah. Wow, that's cool.
I just think it's a very well designed introduction level to the game. You know, it's good level design. It has everything to teach you how to play the game: the jump in, the punch in, all the collectibles. And it's just really fun to go through.
Yeah, I'd agree. So we go through the warp gate, and then we're back in Samos's hut, and then we begin the first mission then, really. We're gonna go do the vents, aren't we?
In Sentinel Beach?
Yeah, you know, we gotta go clean the eco vents.
You see, I actually go to the jungle first and do the temple mission before I go to Sentinel Beach. That way all the vents are already ready for me.
Well, you got to go to the jungle first to get the boat, right?
What, is that what you guys did? For this one?
That's what I do, yeah. Well, that's what
bloody
I
hell.
usually.
I
Oh,
thought we were
did
just
you
doing
want
the
us to
first
start-
mission.
I mean, technically,
order.
there is no first mission. I mean, after you do the tutorial mission, you can go and do any of the ones that are available.
So I'm so law-abiding. Like when Samos said, "Go do these vents," I was like,
snakes
"That's
on
the
the
first
beach scare
mission.
me.
I'm going."
Yeah, that makes sense. It is the first level, I'd say.
Oh, I forgot to say, have any of you watched a Goofy movie?
Yes.
The man that plays Jack is the one that plays Max.
Huh.
I
Yeah.
did
Jack-
not know that. Oh wow, okay.
I know, how cool is that? And
I
he's
didn't know
also
that.
married
Mm.
to the girl who plays Elsa in Frozen.
There's also another
Oh,
good
wow.
one as well. Little Mermaid 2. You know the penguin Tip.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's voiced by the same voice actor as Daxter.
No way!
Yeah, Max Casella. He's really good. Yeah, he does a lot.
I think he's been in a couple episodes of Futurama too, probably.
Jack, what were you had something about, are they from a Crash game or something? One of the villains?
Like the Venus flytraps, like the one in Samus's hut, is pretty much taken directly from the Crash Bandicoot games.
What?
And in one of the villagers' huts, there's some romper fruit in a basket, which is also a Crash reference.
Also, I thought this was cool, like, what you see in the distance, then you try and walk towards it, you can't look at it all the way there, like the camera will spin around, and that's like the load
Oh,
screen,
you
and
know
then
what?
it'll turn into high res, and you can go there. I thought that was cool, that's how they navigate the load screens.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the most impressive, view is on Snowy Mountain. You can see pretty much all the levels in
Oh,
the game.
yes. And the Citadel too, like in the
Yeah.
very last mission.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, so that is our first episode's mission by mission done. Moving on, let's play Rename the Mission. So, what would you rename Samos's vent mission?
Oh, the vent, right.
A legacy begins. I don't know. So, something to maybe to go. Oh, a hero was born. I don't know. Something like that.
I would call it "Get Out of Here."
Get out.
With Samos.
Oh,
Get
yeah,
out.
that's a good one.
We can cleaning the gutters. We can call it spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just basically just cleaning rocks out of vents.
Oh, okay, that's a very long title, Jesse. Are you sure you want that to
No,
be it?
no, that's not the title. Yeah, that's cool.
Jack, what would you call it?
Pretty something simple. I don't know, like green, clean.
I like that.
Okay, so that is it. That is our first episode, Mission 1 of the Jak and Daxter series. If you've got anything you want to talk about that we've discussed, or you just want to give your opinion on something we missed out, then please email the show. I'll leave the email address in the description. Is there anything you guys wanted to say before we go?
Oh wow.
Sounds good. I had fun talking to you guys about Jak and Daxter. This is a really fun time, and I can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. So sorry I talked too much.
Wait, so for the edit, can we all say sort of bye at the same time, please? Okay, so roundabout now.
Bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Hey, bye.
Bye.